We are live. So there's not going to be an intro this week. I wanted to start it off on more of a serious note. I did receive a phone call this morning, and it's I don't know. Give me a second. Um. So in the phone call, this person explained they probably won't be able to do much anymore. It's gonna be tough. Anyway, I know many of you guys were close to him. I like to think I was closer to him, but it's sad to say that Harry from Arkansas will no longer be on any of the YouTube shows. He will no longer be a part of the Kirk Minahan world. He got into a night landscaping accident. I believe it had to do with a wood chipper. And there's this whole thing going on now with a lawsuit going over whether or not it's safe to do landscaping at night, especially in a state like, Arkansas. So that was the announcement I had. So this is the intro. There's not going to be any music. I just wanted to tell everyone the tough news. So anyway, with that, let's get started. This is the end of Corona week. We had a week without Steve, a week with intern. I'm busy doing something. A week of intern producer Matt Carano. So let's bring in our first guests. Let's bring in Medium Poppy and Quantum Week Chris. What's happening, boys?
Do you want to check what your mom's doing in your bed there? Or?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she needs a raise, dude.
Nope. So, how you guys doing?
Good. Before we begin, I do want to give a huge shout out to Blind Prison Mike. I did the walk today, the suicide prevention walk, to benefit American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Just an awesome time. Blind Prison Mike had a route that him and his kids made. It was like a 2-mile walk. It ended at a park in Nashua. Everyone kind of just hung out. There were a ton of Minifans there. Shank Fight Club, Goldilocks. I know. Liz Warren, Selfie Stick. I'm forgetting a ton of people. Every single person there could not have been nicer. It was such a cool event, and we raised like $6,500. What's that?
I said you were there. Your dog was there.
I was there. My wife was there. We brought our dogs. Everyone. It was just the nicest group of people. It was a really, really great event, and proving that Minifans, when they're off social media, are always awesome.
Awesome.
So also a huge shout out to Blind Person Mike. He's a great guy. I mean, it was always an awesome cause. Half the people you mentioned there are banned by Carano, but they're still great people. So
how do you know that, Poppy?
Because I'm good friends with Goldilocks. I went to a fucking Sako with her, and I know she's banned for a fact.
She's not. She's not blocked.
Okay, so maybe he pandered and unblocked her like Visionless Dave, but she was blocked for the vast majority of time.
This is
for
a good
sure.
lead into the first topic. So I kind of wanted to get into this is kind of sensitivity week. I like to look at it. You look at we kind of had a little sensitive producer in. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Macarona, but he is on the sensitive side. We had Kevin from Bristol with 2 very sensitive calls. One about talking about how Kirk has closed off his heart to love, and another about how him and Kirk are friends, and Kevin will be joining us in the second half of the show, and Josh just freaking out, being sensitive, and tweeting that he's not going to be tweeting anymore. Then he's tweeting again, over and over again. So I just wanted to get you. I know you guys are kind of on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum here. So I wanted to start off with how you guys think Matt Carano did. We're going to talk a little bit about the whole situation where he apparently has blocked hundreds, if not thousands, of Minifans, and let's get into it. I want to start with Medium Poppy, because I know for those of you.
Well, before you do, Justin, how many people? You said hundreds and thousands. Well, I asked
hundreds,
Matt,
if not thousands.
Right. So how many people do you guys think Matt's blocked? Because I know the number.
Okay, I want to get Medium Poppy's take first.
Okay.
Medium Poppy, because what I was going to say is I know Medium Poppy was one of the callers on Friday, who he was bringing up this point, and so I just wanted to kind of him to expound on that take.
So I want to start off by saying that I'm not anti-Carano as far as like production goes. I think that technically, he's done well. It's something I want to argue upon, but do I think it's incredibly difficult to find a technically competent podcast producer in 2020? I don't really think so. I think that there's a billion podcasts out there right now. People give them a ton of credit for, basically working for free and also making parody songs. But guess what? Every single person in this world works for free. It's the status quo for the Kirk Minahan world. Everyone, everyone's contributions are not paid other than Steve Robinson and I guess Blind Mike. But yeah, I don't want to attack him for the technical aspects, but Kirk said this week, welcome to our world, right? So people like this show for like different reasons, right? But the one that jumps out kind of paramount is honesty, right? So Kirk goes like straight to the point, hunts for the truth, and Carano just has not, carried that at all. He starts off the week saying, I only block people who have DM'd me with death threats, right? And then his story changes again. He says, I've only blocked people who followed Sneakers or Prague. And then he basically admits that, I just block people that, I just want to have my timeline more curated. So the story has completely changed throughout the week, which is something that Kirk hates. Second of all, he comes out with these like dozens and dozens of death threats confirming that he knows it's Sneakers, comes out with no evidence. I personally don't think that Sneakers has DM'd Carano saying it'll hunt you down and kill you and your wife. If he has said those things, I completely disavow, but there's been no evidence, zero, let alone dozens and dozens. So, basically, instead of considering that it's one isolated person he has a problem with, he goes out, let alone the fact that Kirk, the whole reason he admitted on Friday's show is that because Kirk left the Discord, he was pissed off about that. He took it into his own hands. Instead of isolating that one person, he went out there and blocks hundreds, if not thousands of people, including some amazing devout fans, which QWC started off the show saying that they were at the suicide awareness rally, like Goldilocks. That's just so soft.
Goldilocks isn't
You're lying, you're being soft, you're being weak. And yeah, you're technically capable, but that's so common in 2020. So
who would you have fill in? Poppy, all right, enough. Poppy, who would you have fill in?
So 2020, there's a billion podcast producers.
That's not the question, Chris. So, Chris, I want to just hear your kind of just rebuttal, because I know you said
He just said like, all right, what do you want me to say? So, you want my rebuttal to what? He just talked for 2 minutes, and then I said one thing, and I was told that wasn't the question. So, what's the rebuttal? What is the question?
Well, the question is, first of all, how did you think Carano did this week? I mean, Poppy agreed. I think everyone can agree from a technical standpoint it went well. The only problem I have with this whole blocking scenario thing is the fact that Matt just won't. Like, I think you can block as many people if you want. If you want to block 10,000 people, go for it. I mean, it's your account. Get off Twitter. I don't give a shit. But my only thing is he just won't admit he's sensitive. It's like, you're sensitive. That's fine. There are some sensitive people in the world. Matt Carano, he pretends he's not sensitive.
All right. So here's my take on it, whatever it's worth. I'm not Matt. I don't block people. Not a big fan of it. Is Matt sensitive sometimes? Yeah, he probably is. But Matt also has the balls to have his real name out there, where a lot of us don't do that. So in some ways, Matt is way more sensitive than we are about certain things. And in some ways, he's probably less sensitive than we are. I still don't see like why anyone gives a shit.
What? Dude, he's a personality on the show, and he's blocking hundreds, if not thousands, of Minifans.
So how many people do you think he blocked? I tried to ask this earlier. And
I want to embrace Matt. I want to embrace him. I really do. But when you're completely going against the principles of the show you're working on, such as you're lying, you're completely, obfuscating facts. It's ridiculous. Like, how is it to, welcome you in when you're doing that shit?
So if it's such a big deal, then why does Kirk keep bringing him back?
Because why did he have Reamer back on WEI? I think he's honestly trolling us. I think that the reason that he has Carano on is to troll us. I think it's funny. I think it's entertaining. Yeah.
No, I think the reason why he has him on is because Kirk likes, not loves. Let's get this straight. He does not love Carano. He likes Carano. That's just another topic. But I think he has chemistry with him. He gets along fine with him. I don't think he necessarily sees the blocking on Twitter as much of an offense as other people do. I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it, but I know there is a group of people who, especially when I think Carano had that tweet, I think it was Thursday, about having Bruce Springsteen on. Chris, I believe you quote tweeted that and said, if you look at the the number of likes, the number of impressions it has, that there's no way it could show that Carano has blocked a significant portion of the Minifans. But I want to get your answer to the question of how many people he's blocked, because if I had to guess, I'd guess 200.
Sure. So he's blocked a total of 263 people, but only 140 Minifans. And that includes people like Zonker. And so it's only 140 people that he has blocked that would care about the Kirk Minahan universe.
Maybe today, maybe after his...
No, I saw it.
Maybe.
I saw his phone. I went over, because I knew it was coming on today, so I drove over there and I checked.
So my problem with him...
dedicated, Chris. Thank you.
I mean, because I knew this was going to come up, because I'm so tired of hearing about it. It's 140 people. And honestly, a lot of those people are shit on him all the time. I don't block people, but I also don't have, Matt's...
You think Goldilocks was DMing him death threats?
No, absolutely not. Goldilocks is a really good person.
Do you think BB was DMing him death threats?
Absolutely not. Oh, well, I know some people.
Why write off the whole Discord over nothing?
Yeah. What's that?
Go ahead. I like you. Actually, Chris, I like you very much. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, and I like you too, Papa. We've always gotten along. So I personally wouldn't have. What he did initially was he blocked anyone that followed Sneakers. I wouldn't have done that.
That's more than Sneakers has like 270 followers, so the first number you gave out is probably not true.
No, well, let me finish. So he blocked 260 people or whatever. Mm-hmm. And since then, he's been slowly adding people. People have reached out, or he realizes, hey, and even admitted on Kirk's show this week that he overreacted. And look, I said, I don't block anyone. I also I'm not on the show like Matt is, so it's a probably different experience for him than it is for me. But yeah, I mean, if he wants to block people and it makes social media more enjoyable for him, who gives a fuck?
I completely.
Why do you care?
So the defense here is that he's gone from 270 to 140. And he started up by saying, I've only blocked people who DM me with death threats. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about here? He's lying. He's pandering. He went and he said he's completely changed his story throughout the week. And then as soon as Kirk says, oh, yeah, I like videos, he completely panders, switches his story, and talks about how much he likes him. I want you to have a spine, have a personality, and have some principles on this show. Otherwise, I'm not going to support you. I want to like Carano. I really do. I want to support him.
I can tell you want to be a big fan.
Well, I hold my principles higher than just fucking being a sheep in this world.
Okay. I see the anger here, and I really don't understand why you want to see Matt Carano's tweet so bad. The guy tweets about Bitcoin and Quantum Week. Is it that important to see this? Like, really? Like, the best tweets?
No. The point here is that I don't want to endorse and support putting somebody on the show, especially full-time if we do go subscription service, that completely does not uphold the principles of the show that we all support. Why listen to the show? We want honesty. We want truthful. We want people that are logical and going, based in reality. And he just panders. He changes his story. He just does whatever the Twitter wins are doing that day, and I don't support that.
I don't think he does what Twitter wins do at all. I think he's blocked all these people knowing it's going to have a huge backlash. So I disagree with that. I think if he was going to play the Twitter card, he'd be more like on the fence with stuff. And he's not. He's very much like a hardline guy with this. He's like, I block him, and then he's slowly bringing people back. But honestly, Matt Carano's Twitter activity is not that exciting. I really don't get why people care so much.
I care because if I'm going to endorse and support somebody becoming a full-time part of this full-time role in the show, I want to personally like their personality, like their principles. And if within a 5-day span, you're completely lying, changing your story, and blocking people like Goldilocks over nothing when you have no proof, no evidence, no anything, it just pisses me off. I don't have a personal problem with Carano. I'm sure in his core, he's a good person.
Have you met him?
Yes, multiple times. But I'm not gonna.
Did you guys get along? Like, he's a genuinely nice guy. He's a much nicer guy than I am. He's a nice person. I really don't. It's so bizarre to me. Did you have a good interaction with him when you met him?
Yeah, but I've had a good interaction with every single person that I've met in KMS real life. I mean, I don't think that
maybe
real life
people are good here. Maybe we should stop attacking each other and maybe go after real enemies instead of if I really believe most people in the KMS world are good.
I don't want to drone on too long, but we got to the root of it on Friday, right? The root of it is that Kirk went off Discord for his own reasons that he said weren't a big deal, and then Carano took it in his own hands to white knight and basically attack everything about it, right? And then once it wasn't going his way, apparently got some gay jokes, and he decided to go on a block fest, and then someone sees a dead man, and now he's thinking that fucking
that's not what happened, Poppy. Poppy. He was getting shit for months.
Where's any of the evidence? Where are the dozens and dozens and dozens of death threats in his DM? Where are they?
I have seen Carano's a dead man over and over and over and over.
Yeah, okay, that's a death threat, sure.
Why should anyone need to deal with that shit?
If he interprets it as a death threat, or he interprets it as bringing down his level of satisfaction of being on social media, then why do you have a problem? If
that's fine, Justin, I support that 1,000%. I truly do. But if you're gonna, try to hide it and then say that you're only blocking people that are DMing you death threats, which is something verbatim, it's verbatim. I'm not like interpreting. It's verbatim what he said.
So that would be kind of my point. Is that I love Carano, he's the best, but
sure.
I just think he is sensitive. I mean, some people are sensitive, some people aren't. I'm not sure.
I like being sensitive is fine. I'm sensitive. Being a liar is a whole different story.
I wouldn't necessarily call him a liar. I don't think Carano's a liar. He seems to be pretty truthful in all the interactions I've had with him.
Me as well. He's actually one of the more honest people I know. I really do. Okay, Poppy, you called in and you were very much on the side of sneakers. So maybe sell me on sneakers. Why am I on the wrong side of this one?
This is my issue with this fucking thing, is that I don't take sides, dude. This isn't fucking middle school. I stand up for principle.
You said he's funny. Sell me on sneakers.
Do you support Trump or Biden 1,000%? No, you stand up for principles and for ideas, right?
So sell me on sneakers. What am I missing here?
I'm not selling sneakers. I'm selling the idea that I don't want to endorse somebody part of the show who's going to be a pandering pussy.
Okay, so you don't think sneakers is funny then? You said it on the show.
No, he has funny moments for sure. Do I think
he called Kirk a cunt and an ass in the last week?
Yeah,
dude,
well, I mean,
Kirk called Kirk called Tangway a fucking pedophile on air.
Yeah,
what are we talking about, dude? What are we talking about?
I don't think sneakers is Kirk.
What? What's the difference?
Well, one is a very popular podcast host. Another
so
guy
being popular
is a troll.
You can call somebody a pedophile, but the other person can't say someone's a cunt?
I think somebody's entertaining and somebody's not. I think it's a different situation.
Really? So being entertaining gives you a fucking warrant to say whatever you want, and if you deem them not entertaining, they can't say what they want. Is that what you're saying?
I think it is different for sure. I also think Tangway and Kirk. Okay, Tangway and Kirk are friendly. I don't think Sneakers and Kirk are that friendly.
Yeah, people that are friendly with Kirk walk off the show every single time they're on there because they love how it's going, right?
Who's walked off the show?
Tangway twice.
Oh, but he came back. Him and Kirk are friendly. I think they talked this week. Kirk said it on air. You seem to know a lot about what happens when you really don't know what happens.
Well, can I?
Where am I wrong? Break it down.
Well, I think you seem to think that Tangway and Kirk don't get along. You seem to think Matt has all these people blocked that he doesn't. It just seems like you're really misinformed.
I think that's no. Like your problem. You just had a problem with Sneakers saying that Kirk is a cunt when Kirk himself brings people on and calls them a pedophile to the point where they walk off air. Like saying someone's a cunt is a deciding factor whether or not we can like or not like somebody.
No, I didn't say that. I was hoping you'd tell me. I don't see the great appeal of Sneakers. I was hoping you could sell me on it. You haven't so far.
Yours you're not getting, dude. If you don't like Trump or you don't like Biden, you don't need to.
Yeah, you said this already. But do you have a different point? I hear the Trump Bidening, but sell me on Sneakers.
Okay, Chris, I love you, but you're not understanding this, right? I don't need to sell Sneakers as a person to have a problem with the actions that Carano has had.
We are going to bring on a person who is now known, who put his name as Carano Fan. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Is there a point you wanted to make in this debate, or you wanted to add some insight to it?
Yeah, I just want to say that Carano has been very forthright, very truthful in his how he's presenting himself on the show. Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree with Chris. I have no idea at all what Medium Poppy is going at right now. It makes no sense.
Make it quick. I don't want to waste Justin's time. Give me one sentence that doesn't make sense, please.
That he is throwing Carano under the bus despite the fact that Carano has been nothing but truthful his entire time. He's never given any sort of.
Who?
Sorry,
Who's throwing Carano under the bus?
You are.
You say it again. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
He's saying
One sentence.
You're throwing Carano under the bus because of how he blocks people, even though Carano on the show and on Twitter has been nothing but truthful and like very see-through. Is that
okay? I'll break it down. I'll break it down for you. He hasn't been truthful. He's been a pandering pussy, and he doesn't help hold any of the values of the reasons people support Kirk Minahan.
How has he been pandering?
Did you hear any of the takes by Visionless Dave?
Yeah, congratulations, Visionless Dave. Let's put him on a fucking pedestal. No, he's been perfectly straight across the board.
Carano straight. Okay,
that's a good one. Thank you, Carano fan. We're going to bring in now someone who I believe is on the opposite spectrum. Maybe you've seen him, maybe you haven't. His name is John from Scranton, and here he is. Oh, he's muted.
Saying don't put Visionless Dave on a pedestal. Didn't Kirk literally put him on a pedestal?
So,
Chris, hi, buddy.
How's it
You're
going,
doing a good job, kid. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You gotta fight off these bad apples like me.
It's
and
tough.
Pop,
It's hard.
Yeah.
Do my best.
You guys know this. This kind of sparked because me and Carano got in a fight, right?
It all comes back to John from Scranton. That's what I
It's
always
all
say.
my fault, dude. It's all because of me.
Yep.
Carano did a good job this weekend. Poppy, you didn't think he did a good job?
No, I think technically he did a good job, but I think that you could do just as good of a job as a producer, John. I think that
I don't know, man. With Kirk like yelling at you about to try to start the calls, dude, I'd be sweating. Carano handles it like he's like, no, Kirk, I got it. I love how confident fucking Carano.
It's really hard to host a podcast, to produce a podcast and also be like a second chair. It's really challenging. I couldn't do that. I can't multitask worth shit.
So here's my issue is that Steve is the exact opposite, right? Steve has like no problem like standing up for his beliefs, like popular.
You're right. Steve's never lied. You're absolutely right, Poppy. Steve is the pinnacle of honesty.
No,
you hear yourself right now. You sound insane.
No, but he doesn't pander. He stands up for it. Even if he doesn't believe in it, he's happy to fight. Carano just turtles and just panders and just lies. Like, please, someone. Okay. I'm gonna break this really, really simple, right? Why did he say that he only blocks people that DM him death threats? Why? That was like Monday or Tuesday.
I mean, I'm blocked. I kind of did.
Why is Goldilocks blocked? Why is
she's not blocked? Jesus Christ!
Neither is TV anymore. Will is blocked, dude. There's hundreds.
Will hosts the show. Okay, let me explain the Will one because John will like this. So Will is on a show where the four guys shit on Carano. They have whole shows dedicated to shitting on Carano.
Right now, don't say that.
You've done it 3 times, John. If I was Carano,
right now,
I would have those guys blocked too.
Yeah, I would block them too.
In the words of Kirk Minahan, welcome to the world. Welcome to the world.
That's kind of true. But
right, Poppy. No, Poppy's right. Part of the world is having people host shows where they trash you for half an hour, 3 different times. That's very normal.
I'm going to agree with Quantum Week Chris on this. If you're a part of a show where it's just
that's completely
understandable. You just
understandable.
constantly see just people shitting on you and having people on that you assume whether or not you guys think that these death threats are real. They're having death threats. He's paying people on cameos to tell them to pull their dildos out of their ass. I didn't even know who that guy was.
I didn't either. Who was that guy?
Who gets shit on Carano or Blind Mike? It's Blind Mike, right? Is Blind Mike?
I didn't get it. I'm sorry. No, for real. I didn't hear what he said.
I also have no problem if Blind Mike decided to start blocking people. It's up to him.
Neither do I. Just don't lie about it and fucking pander.
So you're so mad that Matt lies, but you're cool with Steve lying. That's what we've learned tonight?
What's Steve lies you want to talk about?
I think like,
he writes songs about it.
We don't want to get into a big Steve lie. I mean, there was that whole incident down in Florida.
Steve's perfect. Steve is perfect.
I think Carano
I see where we are.
Did that at the head of the Chris. I think Carano just did that at the head of the episode because like I really don't think Carano wanted to get into it this week about that bullshit because like he's doing a job with Kirk and he has all these stories ready and blah blah blah. He knew Kirk was going to bring it up. And he had kind of like quick answers to it, like, oh, why are you blocking all these people? Like, oh, I didn't block all these. Like, he's kind of just pushing it off. But like, facts of the matter is that number true? He had 100 and how many? What was the number?
It's 140 Minifans.
Bro, how do you have that much time to block that many people?
I don't think it takes that much time to block people. Now, John, I do want to give you credit for something. I know that you at one time were following. The reason I bring up rumor was Zonker called into the show this week. and
really?
on
I
Friday.
didn't hear his voice. And I've heard his voice, like,
Yeah.
And
to your credit, I know you said you don't follow him anymore, right?
No, I don't follow. I did because me and somebody got into a fight over it, and we're close friends. So yeah.
So like, what are you guys? Poppy, are you a Zonker guy?
Oh yeah, we hang out.
I don't think anyone's a Zonker guy right now. Like, I think once he really turned on Kirk, like the Boston Globe thing was the first time we got a whiff of like, he's doing actual stuff to try to. Yeah, I don't want to talk about.
I was just curious, because I know Poppy follows him, so I didn't know. I just wanted to know why.
Any of the topics or on any of the Corona stuff? Because we got another guy. We got doesn't even matter.
Bring him on, Justin. I want to.
Oh no, wait, that's Kevin from Bristol.
Kevin.
Fucking can't even tell. But do you have any final points, John, before we move on?
No.
To the,
hey, thanks. I think this is a good show. It's a good. You're getting it out. It's good to see Chris here and Poppy. I love you guys.
Something new. So,
I give you a kiss.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie. So after that lovely exchange, so what do you guys think about Blind Mike? You think he's coming back?
I mean, I think the Kingpin Pete call at the end of Friday was interesting. Kirk did not sound happy.
Why would you say that? Because when I first heard that, I didn't think it was anything troubling or anything too bad. I haven't re-listened, but I did hear afterwards. Kirk and Matt kind of said that Kingpin Pete kind of buried Mike, but my first impression was not that.
Because I guess how you want to look at it. I mean, he brings up how much money Mike's making in the stock market, brings up the fact that Mike's having people over. It made it sound like Mike's situation may have been lighter than maybe it really is. Maybe Kingpin Pete was just kind of speaking off the cuff, but it didn't look great on face value.
Here's how I look at that situation. I see it as, I don't think Mike was having a party. I think a couple of Mike's friends heard what he's been going through. I will say I tried calling Mike a couple of times. He didn't answer. He texted me back. He said, "What's up?" He doesn't sound like he's in the best mental health state currently. So I think people who are closer to him than I am, or closer to him, or were closer to him outside of the show, might have heard about this. And I know it's coronavirus, and they're not supposed to be having people over, but I don't see anything wrong with Kingpin Pete and a couple of his friends going up to check on him. I don't necessarily think it was Mike's like, "Hey, I'm on vacation the next month" party. I think it was more of a, "Hey man, we kind of how's it going? Like, you doing all right?"
I'll say this too. I reached out to Warthog, and he said that Mike was having a rough time too.
Number?
But Warthog did say that Mike was having a tough time. So he definitely backed up exactly what you're saying, Justin.
So I'll say that one of the most helpful things as a guy when you're going through hard times, have some of your boys come over and just kind of chill and just forget about shit. So to attack Mike on that seems absurd. Let him live. Let him fucking.
I don't think Kirk was necessarily attacking him on it.
No, I just mean like the idea of having an issue with that just seems crazy to me. It's like one of the most healthy things for a dude to do when he's having a hard time is to just kind of relax and hang out with the boys,
And I think maybe Mike just mentioned, he's like, "Oh yeah," I mean, because he has mentioned the stock market a lot this year. He's been like, "Oh, I keep buying pen. So I don't know, maybe Kingpin Pete's first thing when he thinks of Mike is the stock market. So he goes, "Oh, dude, he's made a shit ton of money in the stock market today." I don't think Kingpin Pete was trying to bury Mike per se.
I don't think no. Kingpin Pete, if you listen, I know you guys have, like, he has a very casual way of speaking about really serious shit. Like, he'll talk about life in the prison, but he does it in such a casual tone. It almost sounds like any day in the life that we would all have. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was kind of underplaying Mike's serious situation just because that's his nature.
And also maybe perhaps Kingpin Pete didn't think it was his place to go on the show. And let's say, I mean, I know nothing of the Mike situation. Like I said, I tried calling him a couple times. He didn't answer. I hope everything's going swell with him. But if he did reach out and was like, "Dude, I'm not doing so great," like, and someone asked me about it, I'm not going to be like, "Hey, like, yeah, no, he said he's on the brink of."
Well, if that's the case, then Pete shouldn't have gone on the show, Justin.
That's a very good point. I mean, he did.
That's not a great excuse there.
This is also the man who thought he was going to be a fun, cool drug dealer and not get caught, and then he got caught with like a pound of OxyContin and got sent to jail for 3 years. So.
I will say, Kingpin Pete's show is very good. If anyone hasn't seen it.
So this topic to me is actually pretty fascinating, right? Because there's a huge parallel between Kirk and Mike here, right? So Kirk was knee deep in the Kirk and Callahan show for a while, and the stressors of the job, be it external, internal, Murchison, whatever, it added up to a point where it was too much for Kirk to handle, right? The same thing kind of happened for Mike, right? So whether or not Kirk knew that Steve was going to have the role that he has, he did not feel confident enough with Steve. He brought Mike on the show and brought him into the world, right?
I don't necessarily
Go
think he didn't feel confident enough. I just think there wasn't.
No, he said that if he knew that Steve was going to fulfill the role that he has filled, he probably would not have invited Mike on, right?
That's also with 2020 hindsight.
Right. But I don't know. I think that they both have had kind of an overwhelming, emotional effect from the show. So it'll be very interesting to see how Kirk handles. Obviously, the major difference is the work ethic, right? So Kirk busted his ass, got the show to a 16 or 17 rating, whatever, and then took his leave. Meanwhile, Mike has been Mike and then taken a leave. But it'll be really fascinating. I hope that he does get a fair shot to reclaim his position.
So, Poppy, do you think the show is somehow affecting? Do you think the show is detrimental to the health of people on it? Besides, I guess Steve, who seems to be okay with everything.
So detrimental, I wouldn't say. I would say it's more of like a full spectrum, right? It has a lot of big positive effects, such as I don't know what to call it, positive, popularity, etc. Like a lot of interesting shit going on. But there's also the negative stress of all the I don't know how to exactly what to call it, but absolutely, dude. I mean, I'm sure there's an enormous stress as well as enormous benefit to working with Kirk.
So we have another guest. We have this man DM'd me last night. He wanted to get on. He said he wanted to bring up some controversial takes. So we're going to bring on Minifan X. How's it going, Minifan X? How you doing, buddy?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
How's it going?
Oh, Minifan X.
Can we go back to Carano for a second? Because I think
quick.
we're missing
Sure,
the big picture here. He's a sellout, and it was revealed on Friday's show. Maybe it was Thursday, whenever that big batch of songs were played, because he clearly is trying to separate himself from the average Minifan, because he's gotten a couple bumps, he's had a taste, and now he wants to center himself as the next up guy to come in and take the chair, whether it's Mike's spot or whether we go subscription service or whatever the hell the deal is. Sellout, hashtag sellout.
I don't know if sellout's the best thing because he's working for free.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to sell. Like
No, sellout, not in the money.
Very good sellout.
No, sellout in the sense of that he's trying to disconnect himself from the Minifans, the position that got him there in the first place. He's in the position he is now because he wrote really good parody songs, not because he was a good producer. The chicken doesn't come.
I think the two things. He did produce shows beforehand, so he's a very good producer. I think he's a great producer. I think he does a really good job with that.
Yeah, not talking about his skill set. I'm talking about him trying to become the next Mike or whoever. He clearly has not been working on the music. He brought up so many excuses. He hurt his wrist, this and that. He's been busy producing the show. But if you really want to stay connected, your bread and butter is those songs. It's not being a producer on the show.
Well, I think I will say
times a year.
So I do know Matt, and his bread and butter is his job, and he's been super busy at work. That's why he hasn't done a lot of stuff.
He wasn't he was not too busy before to make all these great songs.
You're right. He has new work demands. He got a job that now has different demands than he did before.
You know what? This relates perfectly to Mike too, because you know what, guys, you guys know this too. You're passionate about this show. There's 24 hours in a day. If Mike really wanted to step up his game and commit to the show, he'd be able to go home and spend 2 hours, 3 hours writing stand-up routines, writing jokes, and bringing stuff to the show. Listen, I understand there's so many in this community who suffer from mental health issues. It's super real. But to be paralyzed to the point where you can't bring anything to the table, then you can't be on the show. I'm sorry.
I agree with that in the case of Blind Mike, but I think comparing Blind Mike to Carano in this point is completely ridiculous, because when you look at Matt Carano being a fill-in producer, I feel like on weeks when he's not required to do anything, where he's not asked to do anything, he shouldn't have to go home and spend 2-3 hours a day working for this show that he, in turn produces.
Hey, he shouldn't have to, but he's a mainstay in the parody song community. He's one of the 2 or 3 top guys. We're going weeks, sometimes a month now without a good parody song. That was a staple of the show, and he was one of the main guys. And in my opinion, he's forgoing that responsibility because he wants to be a part of the show and not, somebody who's a Minifan. And you're not yet.
I mean, honestly, dude, I couldn't disagree more. I think your points suck. I think that he's not a sellout at all. He's completely made it an obvious point since like Christmas that he wants to have a full-time role in the show. And number 2, making fucking songs is not his responsibility. It's a gift. Who gives a fuck?
Look,
I gotta agree with Poppy there. It's really not a responsibility.
No.
Yeah.
It
Say your takes. What do you want to see from the show? Give me something.
It adds to the it's a mainstay of the show. Parody songs, prank calls, these are mainstays of the show. And Carano became where he is. He's at least if you want to put a ranking on it, top 5% well-known Minifans, and he only got to that point because he's a good parody song.
Now I have a question real quick.
Your take
So
sucked, dude.
I'm going to assume that Minifan X, you are Steve's a liar guy.
It's not.
I'm like Steve's a liar guy. No,
You are not Steve's a liar guy.
I am
not
not
Steve's a
Steve's
liar
liar.
guy.
Okay, so
I'm flattered that I would even be put in the discussion, but no, I'm
so
not
you
Steve's
do
liar.
see where it would be ironic for someone who has not. Have you put in any parody songs or made any?
Here
parody
I'm
songs?
starting now, baby. I've been sitting back since episode 1, waiting. Now it's time. Ready to
Now
go.
it's time?
Let's go. I'm here. Let's
Well,
go.
Dude,
Toronto could say the same fucking thing, dude. Oh,
I mean, if you put your money where your mouth is, and you come out with some good parody songs, I'll back you up on
Dude,
that.
I mean,
I can't think of one good sentence from any of your takes in the last fucking 2 minutes, dude.
So,
Well, listen, I'm not here to please you. I'm here to bring up cogent points about the
No,
show that make the show better. I'm sorry I'm not pleasing you, Poppy. That's not why I came on this show.
I agree.
There was no-
like
there
I
was-
said,
nothing was
you
cogent.
said you had some controversial takes, and we're talking about it.
I don't
Yeah,
think Minifan X can handle Poppy's kitchen. It's getting too hot.
Yeah,
Bobby's
listen,
kitchen
I'll
got
come.
picked.
Look, you want to
Bobby's
make something
quit.
spicy? I got you, brother. We'll
Dude,
cook up
listen. Your whole point was like, oh, fucking Carano has enough time. He has his responsibility. He's been too busy to make 24 hours in a day.
If you
Dude, it's
commit-
been 24 hours in a day since show one. You're like, oh, I'm working on it
How
now.
much
Dude,
of
come
how
on.
much of your day you spend 2 hours a day listening to Kirk Minahan show every single day, right? You listen to every minute of every show.
Like,
Of course.
yeah, sure. I
Okay,
guess.
and so does Carano. And part of the reason the show is so good is because he contributes parody songs to it. So yes, it is his responsibility. If he wants to step away from the world, by all means, do that.
He
But if
does-
you're
he
gonna-
doesn't wanna do
if you're
that.
going to
I don't think-
continue to have this high-ranking status in the show, and don't pretend that doesn't matter. There's a reason this YouTube show is on right now. Everyone,
Dude,
this,
you're
it has a
drunk,
whole
dude.
social dichotomy ranking system, the Kirk Minahan universe. And if you pretend it doesn't
Where does
exist,
Poppy rank? Where does Poppy rank?
medium Poppy. Let's call it that.
Oh, okay.
Let's call it that.
Am I doing better than Poppy?
That's great.
I don't know if you're doing much, but you know,
All
you're,
right.
you're nicer.
All right, I'll
That's
take what I
that's-
get.
just
All right.
wanna
I'm
move
enjoying
on to
this.
The next one, real quick.
Hey, go ahead, buddy.
No, you said you had 3 controversial.
Oh
takes.
yeah, no. The other thing is, so with Kirk, I think we might be entering a situation. We might have a serious problem on our hands because there were 2 instances this week where he was talking about things that happened involving females. One at Barstool with Trista, and the other one with the Katie Nolan Whitlock thing. And he clearly held back his takes. If you go back and listen to some of the other times from the earlier shows when he was, being critical of women, I think he's a lot more tepid now than he was back then. And I'm worried about that because I think that might have to do with the whole shift at Barstool going to the gambling thing and all that other
Can you give an example of a time when Kirk was critical to women?
1 second. So I have a point to make. So I will agree with you that he was not as critical on Trista Crick as Ellie Schnitt or as
Shirley.
Shirley or against Trenny for her.
Trenny.
This situation. Now, that being said, would you say what Trista Crick did is on the same level as what Shirley did?
No, but why are
what
we splitting
Ellie did?
hairs here? The reason we listen to the show is because, listen, it's understood by everyone on this YouTube show right now and everyone listening to the show that Kirk is not sexist. We all
100%.
understand. We all understand that going in. So you don't have to make your takes tepid to try to censor yourself about offending people because we all know, we all understand that you're not sexist. So I'm worried when he starts to do that because I'm thinking, oh, is his mind shifting? Is he going to start being less Kirk because he's afraid of offending women in this culture?
I don't think he was being tepid at all. I think if you look at it,
Wait,
he
you
have
said
treated
what
the
you
Ellie,
said you agreed with me.
would he have treated the Ellie situation any different if it was a man who had Gina come on our podcast and advocate?
No,
to
but he
her?
certainly didn't do that in either of these situations. It was
So
20% of that.
Do you think he would have treated?
He saved Trista's article to the last minute and a half of a 15-minute spot, and he just let it. She answered, and then he hung up the phone with her. That's exactly what happened. Go back and listen to it.
Well, I think she brought up some good points. She said it was taken out of context. I think Kirk.
Oh, but go back and listen to when they talked about it. Kirk ripped her up and down, rightfully so, because it was a ridiculous article. But when push came to shove, this was the first time I can ever remember him not following through on the phone.
Golf thing, or are you talking
Hey,
about
Poppy, what do you think about the whole bringing people in like this? Is this working for you?
No, dude, this guy is fucking boring the
That's
Well, I don't see you contributing
Justin
to the
Minifans.
conversation, big guy. Come on.
Wait, what's you
Minifans-
saying? You're saying Carano's a sellout, and then we're getting sexist. Like,
I
come
can
on,
ask Poppy what he thinks.
I'm saying Kirk is the opposite of a sexist. I'm not saying Kirk is sexist. I'm saying if Kirk shouldn't be afraid at even 1% to go all in like he has before. But I think there's a changing paradigm in the Barstool culture, and I'm worried about the show going forward. If there's going to be controversial things that females do, that he's not going to go as strong on them because he's worried about the backlash, and he
I
shouldn't.
think we'll be okay.
No,
I think it'll be
I
fine.
think he would have had the exact same reaction to Trista Crick's Steve Nash story or her golf story, if it was Robbie Fox who wrote it. I think,
but he didn't have the same reaction. He would have destroyed them, and he destroyed
I
them
don't think he would have.
while they were off.
I
He
think
destroyed Trista while she was off the phone, and then she got on the phone, and he touched on it for 20 seconds and then hung up.
Also, she came up and she said, "Hey, part of the reason I think one of the things she said was, hey, part of the reason this whole golf thing happened was because of that asshole Josh." And now, I mean, Kirk's the kind of guy who's just going to be like, "Yeah, fuck Josh." So now you kind of
but exactly. So what? All of a sudden, we're going to pick and choose our spots. That's not what the show is.
But I think he would have done that with any.
Kirk has been consistent across the board since episode 1.
I agree with that, and I don't see any.
But this is not consistent
with
in either of these
Trista
examples.
story.
It's not consistent. He said he agreed with almost everything Whitlock said in the article, and then just danced around for 5 minutes without going in on the Nolan situation. He's I kind of agree. Go back and listen to it. I'm telling you, it's in the tape. Go back and listen.
Yeah, but I think don't you agree that comparing that Kirk is not going as hard at Katie Nolan or Trista Crick as hard as Shirley is a little extreme? Shirley, who tried to destroy Kirk's career.
No, because it's a huge issue that affected the entire. It was one of the main topics on the show. Why wouldn't we go hard on it?
I don't think that.
Again, you're trying to say there's levels to this shit, and there's just
levels
not.
to this shit.
No, there's not.
I think there's a big.
And you're saying
difference
Kirk isn't Kirk. That's what you're saying.
I think Kirk treats things differently on a if they're super important, like what Shirley does. She's trying to control the fucking media compared to what Trista does, and she writes a stupid story saying that.
I couldn't disagree with that more. I think part of the reason we love the show so much is because we know Kirk's going to bring it 1,000% on everything that he does. He doesn't take the foot off the gas depending on what we're talking about. No, come on. You listen to the show. I think
if Kirk had the same reaction he did to the Trista Crick story as he did towards Shirley or towards Bob Murchison, people would have been like, okay. Maybe it's time for Kirk to take another break because there would be zero.
Why? Not at all. It was a ridiculous situation with the Whitlock article and Katie Nolan, and he said he agreed with Whitlock, and I clearly think he didn't go in because he knew it was a controversial opinion that could land him in some hot water, and he's never done that before.
Yeah, hey, Minifan, next one. Do you know what cogent means? It means clear, logical, and convincing. Clear, logical, and convincing.
Yes, I understand. Yes, I can read. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think Kirk is afraid of getting in trouble. I think he's made that abundantly clear.
All right. Well, before you kick me out of here, I do want to go back to Blind Mike for a second because I think there's medium. You ready to come to a sense of calm here? Something we can all agree on. I think we can all agree that at bare minimum, the show hasn't been 1% worse without Mike.
I'm never going. I think the show is incredible every single week. I'm not.
Yeah, but you kind of can't. I feel like you're in a tough spot there. I'd rather hear from Medium Pop and Fun with Chris on that.
I like having the third voice sometimes.
July 17th, 2019. That was like a 9 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. But
I think I genuinely enjoy Mike. Obviously, I'm biased, but I really do like Mike a lot. I think I enjoy having him there. But having said that, him not being there doesn't mean I don't still love every episode of the show. So I guess to your point, maybe you're right, Minifan X, but I do like having Mike there though too. I know I'm kind of straddling the fence there, but I do like Mike. I'm
all right, but isn't it
honest.
so clear now what Mike doesn't add to the show as opposed to what he does?
What doesn't he add?
Content.
Well, I think
don't think so. I think he adds content.
I just think
that's not fair.
In what? Can we now point out specifically? It's now been 3 weeks since he's been on the show. What hasn't the show done that it would have done better or different if Mike was there? Name one thing.
Real quick, before we switch, because we got to get to the second half, because I know I have Will, Tim Ridgolds, and Kevin from Bristol waiting, and I feel really bad for keeping them late. But this has been great. Real quick, I think the thing is that Kirk is 100% whether or not Kirk's with anyone, or he's by himself, or he's with Blind Mike. So when you take Blind Mike away, you're still getting an incredible show.
Yeah, but you can clearly see the difference when Steve's not there. Is obviously, right? Can you all agree on that?
I think I actually enjoyed the show this week.
Not everything's there the way Steve is. It's definitely not as crisp. We saw what happened.
I think everything was fine.
Phones. I mean, are you kidding me?
I actually like having Mike there. I think that he talks. Sometimes there's too much Mike, but I think I kind of agree that I want to see Mike come back once he's ready. I don't want to see him half in with the woe is me shit. Just annoys the fuck out.
But he's got to bring.
I agree with that, Poppy. I'm with you on that one.
The guy's working show at a time and do nothing. and that's what he does.
I don't think that's.
No, dude, no. Come on. Would you fucking would you go and do a show for months and months and months, paying like $50 or $60 a day in Ubers with no idea of knowing if you'll succeed, trying, getting your ass beat every single day? Yeah, he's taking a little time off, just like Kirk. But whatever. I want to see him come back. I just want to see him come back with some confidence, man. Like that's it.
Well, right. I'm not saying don't come back. I'm saying you need to come back and actually bring something to the show. Back in October or whatever it was, if you guys remember the episode where they kind of sat him down, they kind of sat him down and said, "Hey, listen, like you got to kind of step up your game here." They were half joking. He hasn't done shit since then. Shit. He had a couple funny moments at some of the live shows. I'll give him that.
Okay,
but
so isn't his failure content? Isn't his failing content? It's literally every single person.
Yeah, but you're saying you're comparing him to like Stu Gatz from the Dan Le Batard show or something like that.
No, okay,
I'm not doing that.
One last point. So if you
we got to move on to the second half. I don't want to be keeping the second half, but I truly do thank you for coming on. I'd love to have you as a guest another time.
Peace, boys. Pleasure.
Have a good one. Thank you, Chris. Medium Poppy, before we switch to the second half, anything else you guys want to say?
Just great job, Blind Prison Mike. You did a great job. That walk was awesome. Anyone who went to that walk was incredible, and anyone who donated is also awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, Carano, stop pandering, dude. Just be yourself.
I like it. So here we go. We're going to bring on my fellow intern, or the artist formerly known as Intern Will, now known as Willie G's, I guess.
Yeah, so.
Kevin from Bristol. Oh, looks like Kevin's still getting ready.
That guy was a fucking bummer, bro.
Tim Ridgeld's going on. Oh,
Jesus fucking Christ.
That guy was such a bummer.
If that dude kept talking, oh my God, Minifan X. Jesus, I was dying of fucking hunger. Oh my God. He's awesome. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
Kevin, you there? Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Yeah, buddy.
Happy hour.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah, good times.
Oh, jeez.
We're on the Joker, man.
Let's go.
Oh. Hey, you stuck.
Awesome.
That's what we do.
How's it going, everyone?
Hockey. Good. How are you?
Hola.
Yeah, living the dream. So that first half was interesting. I thank you guys, all three of you guys, for coming on. Obviously, so the last half we kind of talked mainly about Carano because it was the Carano week. This another big subject this week was 2 phone calls that were made to the show, both by Does It Even Matter? Or the artist formerly known as Kevin from Bristol. So just wanted to have him come on. He said he wanted to redeem himself. The first phone call, he talked about how he thinks he doesn't want. Hopefully I'm articulating this correctly. He did not want Kirk to close off his heart from love. He was afraid that was happening. And the second phone call was him apologizing.
Both were failed jokes.
Okay.
I mean, when I tried to get to a bit from Top Gun, it was Kirk not loving, so I get to the point where I could sing the stupid song, "You've Lost That Loving Feeling," and it was a failed, miserable piece of shit. And I should, when I apologized to Kirk, I wanted to say, I apologize for calling while you were on your period, because I thought Kirk was being overly sensitive with, dragging me through the mud, which is fine. I actually think it's fun to get shit on, especially by Kirk. I have no problem with it.
Hey-o.
Now, what happens with me is people will say, I'm a nice guy. I'm a great guy. Kevin's so nice. It's like, who was a nice guy? Jesus Christ was a nice guy, and he got hung by a piece of wood from his nuts. So, I mean, I guess being a nice guy is not a label that I want. I'm sorry for being too nice. So, I will abandon that system of thinking. I'm still going to be a decent person. I just I don't want to be labeled as this fucking guy who is just this cream puff. Pardon the pun.
Tomorrow, some little girl's going to come up and go, "Mister, how much is this coloring book?" And he's going to be like, "You fucking piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here."
I'll still be nice to little girls. I don't know. I really was trying to call the show with very little time between the store opening and getting a phone call in. I ran outside. I was out of breath. It was just a complete abortion.
I will say the first phone call did sound serious. I know you can say that you were. It was kind. I feel like it sounded more like a joke formed around a point more than a point formed around a joke.
Well, it was maybe I acted too well. I don't care if Kirk loves Blind Mike or Big Steve. I don't care who Kirk loves. I was just trying to have some shtick and run with it and really commit to it. The whole thing with whether it's acting or doing a skit or doing a bit is fucking committing 100%. And I committed, and I should have bailed. It was a mistake, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting shit on. I'm fine with the Twitter trolls running train on me. It's like getting all that love that I got for so long. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to keep being the guy who's lovable. I don't need to be lovable.
Is that a filter, or are you in full fucking Joker regalia right now? Like, are you fully in?
There's no filter.
He painted he's in full white face.
Oh my god.
There's no filter. You think I'm a fucking amateur, Tim?
You're the fucking best. Oh my god.
I still have nuts. I just keep them in my wife's goddamn fucking purse. That's all.
Now, Tim. Okay, Tim, I saw you were holding in so much more than that. I just saw you the whole time Kevin was talking, and you wanted to interject at least 4 or 5 times. Go ahead, please.
No, you just
art.
I could barely see him in the corner of my phone because it's wicked dark, and then I realized that's not
to give it to me right in the heart. I can take it, buddy. I'm fine with you guys. Criticism is great. It's part of growing. It's part of you can't get any better if you're not broken down and rebuilt again.
Oh, absolutely. No, I know that firsthand. I think there's a difference though between being shat on and eating shit, and I think
I did both.
I think that there was a little bit of eating shit the second call. First call, I think you got shit on for it.
Yeah.
Second call, ate shit a little bit. Yeah. I've eaten my fair share of shit.
I know you have.
I never like to see anybody do that, especially given I have this in my notes. Obviously, you're a nice guy, but you're not a nice guy anymore.
You know who wasn't a nice guy? Attila the Hun was a fucking nasty, mean cock, and he died of natural causes in his bed with his wife. So maybe being a nasty, mean cock is the way to fucking go. I can't be that. I'm not going to say I'm going to be that. I can't be that. But maybe that's a better road to go down in this world.
I will say, so you obviously listen to the show and you listen to the aftermath of your phone call on Friday. Are you fine with not being friends with Kirk?
I didn't think I was friends with Kirk in the first place. I tried to say it. I know Kirk's not my friend. I wanted to say, and I tried to place it as delicately as possible. Friends in the loosest term of the word. Like your friends at Subaru want you to come get your car fucking serviced. They're not my fucking friends at Subaru. Fuck! It's just what you say. They're my friends. You think likely. I guess if I'm not a friend of the Kirk Minahan show, what's the opposite of a friend? I guess I'm an enemy. Is that what you want? Is that the fucking answer? Holy shit! Fuck.
I think if I may, I think the answer is like there's a lot of people that they take it really personally. I listen to the show just to listen to the show. I listen every day because I have time because of my job and I drive a lot. So. I think people really expect things out of Kirk that are completely irrational.
Tim, don't say expect. That's not fair. I don't expect shit. And Tim, I think you're a fucking solid guy. You're a fucking solid guy in this universe. You're fucking on the level. You're not too much. You're not too little. You're a fucking solid guy. I wouldn't say the word expect from Kirk. When he says, Kevin, I don't owe you shit. I know you don't owe me shit. I have fucking kids. I have a wife. I have a house. I have a job. The fucking Kirk Minahan show is a great escape.
No, Kevin. No, not you, Kevin. You have, going back to the old calls and just on the, no, not you. You're different. There's people that fucking just jumped on 3 months ago that are trying to DM Kirk and fucking talk to Kirk and do all this shit. No, you definitely that's not a comment on you at all, because you are you bought in. No, you bought in and you've done your part. I'm talking about there's so many people that it's just like, and Kirk knows that. That's like why you walk around a drive-in and say hi to fucking everyone, because he knows that he's the king of the crazies. There's a lot of weird people here. There's a lot of maladjusted people here, and they feel a sense of community, and he's the leader.
It's a great point. It's a great point. How can you, as Kirk, not be scared to some extent? The people that walk up to you walk up to. Thank God, fucking Justin was there. The fucking muscle, the ham hock. You know,
don't steal from Best Buy. You'll get fucking bodied through the crust of the motherfucking earth.
You'll go down.
Cut to video.
I give Kirk a shit ton of credit for walking around to every fucking camp and seeing every fucking person, making small talk, taking pictures. And the guy has fucking social anxiety, and he's doing this shit because he's fucking, you know, I'm not going to say he's all hard.
People expect a lot out of him, and he gives so much, and it's just like there's this extra level of like weirdness, and that's really like I think going to be the schism eventually, because I think eventually, honestly, as much as he loves to be the best, he's such a competitive guy, and he loves to be the best at doing something, and he pretty much has been since he peaked on radio. He's been great. At some point, why not go live in a beach in Belize and just chill and live and be peaceful and just totally centered and like literally no distraction. No,
I don't know, Tim, if he would enjoy that. I think in all honesty, as much as we're a fucked up world, I think that Kirk loves the mountain that he's on, and obviously no one else.
Yes,
listen, Blind Mike left, and I fucking love Blind Mike. Blind Mike left; they didn't miss a beat. But in all honesty, Carano was in for a week with very little training. Did they miss a beat?
No.
It's the fucking Kirk Minahan show. I don't know if they need Blind Mike. I don't know if they need Steve. I don't know if they need Carano. You just need somebody
they don't.
Wheel turning.
It's the Kirk Minahan show for a reason.
Show for a fucking reason. And you don't need me for a fucking caller, for a parody song person to show up at fucking events. You don't need me, and I know that. The show is a great little escape for me. With the life
people in this world need. They need Kevin from Bristol.
No,
they need
they don't.
Dorian Hongwell. They need parts of that.
No, they don't. I mean, we're just like that's very similar to what I believe Minifan X was saying about how not to bring back to that ball of joy, but
that guy sucked.
To talk about how how Carano needs to be adding this content. It's like, listen, the only person that needs to be doing anything is Kirk, because he is so good at what he does, and he doesn't even need to he doesn't.
He's like he's the LeBron James of broadcasting, man. He just makes everybody on the team.
I would say he's
so
the Larry
much
Bird of broadcasting.
Okay, the Larry Bird. Yeah. I was saying communist LeBron because he's got the T-shirt on. I wanted to shout that out quick.
I'd say Larry Bird is the Kirk Minahan of basketball.
Oh,
okay, that's even better. That's even better, suck pump. I love it. You've been trained so fucking well, Justin.
So I just wanted to get to a point real quick. So Kevin, so you believe that your phone calls this week were just a big misunderstanding?
If they were, if they weren't, I believe they're water under the bridge. I mean,
you just shit ate and then you put clown makeup on a Saturday night. Why the fuck not?
Sometimes Will makes great points. Sometimes Will makes coherent, clear, cogent points.
Like, yeah, I love it. I fucking love it. Thank you.
I will say, I think it was in your first phone call when you said that you what did you say? Not risk your life, but take a risk whenever we put on the podcast. Was that like a joke, or was that?
It's just being overly dramatic for the core for you know. And like I said, the phone calls were abominations. But when I say we take a risk, it's like, you know, you find yourself loving listening to the Kirk Minahan show when you know at any minute it could be gone. At any minute, it could just Kirk may need to leave, and you know what? I love that about the show.
I think the fragility of it. Yeah, exactly. The fragility of it makes it so. Yes. And the what's the word for it when like Bitcoin is toxic? It's a toxic stock. What do you call it? It's not toxic, but it goes up and down. I don't fucking know the word. I was waiting too long. I drank way too much. Yeah, no, we're not talking about Bitcoin. I'm just saying that.
But
he moves the needle. He moves the needle so much that. Go ahead, Tim. Good. Time.
Okay, so to be fair to Kevin, as far as losing your way in the middle of a call, there was one time I called the show and I started talking and I had a script written on a piece of paper and I was pissing sitting down so I wouldn't be like splashing into the toilet in case I came on. So I fucking like I got on the show, I was reading my thing and I went to like get up and it was either drop my phone or drop my script into the toilet. So I dropped my script into the toilet. It was a really pathetic call and I sounded like a complete loser. I really had some questions about the movie Rookie of the Year. I feel like there's a lot to unpack there and I feel like Kirk was the guy to do it, but everything went to shit. So as far as a call starting off with like good intentions, Kevin, I'm right with you, man, because that Rookie of the Year call, once my script went in the toilet, right to shit.
You know what? Kirk would have been the guy to bring that to. That's the kind of stuff you bring to Kirk. I get that. My whole thing with Kirk was, and the reason that I took some umbrage was because of all the good product that I've tried to put out, I laid two maggot-ridden, stinky logs of shit, and Kirk made this seem like that was my defining moment. And he was right. Kirk said, Kevin, you made it your defining moment. And I did. He was right again. Oh boy. It's tiresome to lose arguments to Kirk because he's always the smartest guy in the room, but at the same time, I'd rather be a punching bag for Kirk than just be, like you said, don't listen to the show. I'd rather listen to the show and take shit than not listen to the show and not hear the show, be part of the show at all. So I'd rather be shit on than have the show not in my my life.
You're dressed as the Joker right now. That's pretty clear.
I think the analogy you said, where how you take a risk and how it could be how the show can get taken away any day, is kind of like buying a bumper sticker that says "I support the troops" and then seeing like a mother be like, "I don't know if my son's going to come home," and be like, "I know exactly how you feel. I just spent $20 on a bumper sticker that said I support the troops." It's like there's two completely different levels of risk that's being taken. When Kirk's going after Marty Walsh, he's going after the Boston Globe, the Red Sox, and then you listening to the show. When he hears I take a risk, it's just kind of like, well, puts that risk into perspective. Like in the grand scheme of things, if the show goes away, that's not necessarily.
Yeah, and you're right, Justin. Maybe I thought to myself, Kirk will know my intention. Kirk will know this is a joke. Kirk will know I fucking blew it, And after my phone call, I hung up the phone thinking everything was all right after that first phone call. Kirk was like, that sucked, but I like Kevin, He's a nice guy. Then afterwards, the next day, he's like, that fucking pissed me off. And he went on he went on a gangbang mission and bukkakied me all day long without me being able to defend myself and say, whoa, Kirk, I didn't realize you took it that way. That was a bad, shitty joke that I tried to commit to. And
you did start it off by saying you're on your period.
I tried to be funny again.
Oh, okay.
I
will say I know how that feels because after every single one of these shows, my asshole tightens up, and I'm like, I probably said something that's going to get me fucked over.
Yes,
so
you wait for it, and I'll wait for it now. You always wait for maybe Kirk doesn't listen, maybe Kirk doesn't hear it, maybe if Kirk does hear it, he fucking could care less about it, or maybe he'll hear something and it'll fucking set him off. And you know what? I'd rather be I'd rather be subject matter than like I said, not listening to the show. Whew, do you guys like do you guys watch porn?
A ton of it.
No, actually.
Recently, one of my, how you get the screen time? Do you have an iPhone, Kevin?
I do.
You know how you get screen time and it tells you your productivity weekly?
Yes.
But yeah, one of my buddies had 4.5 hours of Pornhub.com in 1 week.
Jesus
wow.
Christ.
I won't reveal the name. He is a Minifan, but
can we get back to the first half and fight? Like, can we fight about something? Isn't there something?
Well, I just want to say.
I want to fight.
I recently.
I think I'm being extorted right now.
Sorry, look at that. He likes the Red Sox, and we hate the Red Sox.
I would like for Jared Carrabba
to
jack me off because my cock would look huge in those little hands.
I like Jared.
I like Jared. You know what? I did not like Jared. The fucking guy has sucked me in. Like a German prostitute. He took me in and laid me down, and I'm in bed with him.
He's great.
good.
He's great. What did Kirk called him a blank sheet of paper that he can just write all over. There's nothing there. He's got the same eyes as Blind Mike. Nothing going on there.
Well, I thought he was just
glossy.
I thought he was a baseball douchebag, and it turns out he's a social misfit like the rest of us. He's fucked up socially. He's got his issues, and he fucking appreciates the things Kirk does. He appreciates the Minifan, Mincel world. He appreciates it, and that makes me say, "Wow, what a an open-minded guy."
If one or two things don't go his way earlier in his life, I could definitely see Jared from Saugus being on against him.
Yeah, he said he got rid of his Boston accent, right? He just went on Comcast, hurt himself, and just hated it.
Well, no, Rachel pointed out when Kirk was asking, like, on the very, like, the first time Jared was on, he said something about Jared and his mom having, like, some sort of weird relationship, like, sexually, and Carabas has the balls to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, you're the weirdo for bringing that up. I'm not the weirdo for asking you about being fucking weirdo. And so I think that dynamic, as opposed to a fucking puppy dog that's just willing to wag his tail. I love Mike. I love Blind Mike. I hope he comes back. I hope he's well. Thoughts and prayers. But like having that dynamic where there's someone there to be like, no, fuck you. Like I really like that.
You have to also see this. You have to also say to yourself, Kirk, when Carabas is on, it's almost like the Kirk and Carabas show. When Blind Mike is there, he's more of a Robin Quivers. He's more, he does some accent pieces. He does some laughing. I'm not sure how much Kirk wants another top content guy beside him. It's the Kirk Minahan show for a reason. So I think Carabas is a nice guest.
I think when Carabas is on, it's still the Kirk Minahan show.
It is. Of course it is. Of course it is. But
he'll push back more than normally the norm. And to have someone push back on Kirk every once in a while, he's just had some really spirited, clean, old school Kirk dialogue where normally it's just Mike. He just kind of kowtows constantly, just yes. It was just nice to see someone that, I was the fucking 13th employee at Barstool. I have a pretty big following too, and now we're here together. So why don't we, have some fun? But Carabas has balls and he has a spine and he has pride in what he's built because he's a fucking dum-dum. And the fact that he's built it as much as he has, it's great to see someone in there with Kirk that can kind of fucking dump their dick out and do it.
I think the Section 10 podcast and the Kirk Minahan show have a lot in common. I do think they both have a very devout following. I do have a couple of friends who, they'll talk about the Section 10 podcast, and obviously they don't just talk about the podcast. It's more about the Red Sox in general. But they kind of talk about that the same way we talk about Kirk, the same way, one of the things when people say, hey, what do you like? I'm like, I like the Kirk Minahan show. People say, I like, Jared Carabas in the Section 10 podcast.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Carabas. A lot of the Barstool people are so thin-skinned. When Kirk busts their balls or plays around, they lose their marbles. You could say anything to Carabas. All the callers came in and fucking fucked with his mom and fucked with him, and the guy laughed and had a good time with it. That's how you do it. That's how you survive in this world. You laugh and you let things go. And we all took our turns calling and pretending we were, Carabas' mother getting fucked while cleaning his floor. And Carabas had a big smile on his face and enjoyed it. That's what you do, and that's why Carabas clicked with Kirk, because he can take the shit.
Jerry could push back on Kirk because he was successful. Carabas can push back on Kirk because he's successful.
What was he before Kirk? What was he after Kirk?
Jerry?
Yeah.
Before Kirk?
Well, it was Jerry's show first. So I mean,
what was Jerry before Kirk? I mean, he's one of the greatest sports writers in the history of Boston. But Jerry could push back on Kirk on the show. Yeah. He had a dissenting voice that had to be at least acknowledged. Anytime there's someone that can actually stand up to him, it makes dynamic entertainment. And there's times where Mike. I love him, and I honestly do feel bad, but he just kind of has to do that thing because he's not as successful as a Jared Carabas or a Jerry Callahan,
yeah,
or
no
a
shit.
lot of people.
Mike is a glorified Minifan, and hey, so's fucking Carano, who was like, "Well, Kirk, I think what the Minifans are thinking is this." It's like fucking Carano. You know, I used to say to myself, I used to say all the time, if Carano's gay, I don't want to be straight. You know, and now I see myself listen to fucking Carano do a couple shows, and you know what? Do a goddamn good job. Carano's a fucking rock.
Great
but
job.
at the same time, Carano was
complimenting him or attacking him or what that
both.
was.
Both. Carano's a great job.
He's the Joker,
Carano's intelligent.
Yeah.
He's topical. He's funny. But you know what? At the same time, the second he got on the show, he would say, you know, Kirk, I don't know what these Minifans are thinking. You know, Carano, you're a fucking Minifan. You know, you did a fill-in job and did a great job, and I appreciate that someone could step up and take Steve's spot for a few days, you know, and do a good job. But I listened to him on the show, and the one thing that fucking Minifan X was right about was that Carano just lost himself in the job and took himself out of one world, saying, you know, hey, Kirk, I don't know what those Minifans are thinking. Maybe they are, you know, a little too in love with you. You know, it's like, fucking Carano, you're a Minifan. You know, maybe you'll get a job someday, but until then, you know, you were a substitute teacher.
He had a chance to make a good point. I love Carano. I converse a lot with the Quantum Week people online, blah, blah, blah. The fact that he buried those two rap songs, he kind of like downplayed. This was the weirdest thing I've ever seen Carano do. And to me, that jumped out. He was kind of like, yeah, they're okay. Those songs slapped. And they were like a minute long. It was perfect. They hit quick and they hit hard. And that was weird because to know that he had like final cut of what would get played, those songs might not have even gotten played. You know, it was just weird that he kind of
point Tim.
Those rap songs were great.
They slapped hard.
They
were quick and they were snappy and they're exactly how
production value too.
Parody songs have to be. Yeah, good production value. And I think that it was weird that it was like they were the third ones played, and it was just like, what? This is great stuff. That's the. Please don't block me because I like.
I'm blocked
like
and I'm blocked, dude. And Minso. Okay, so I just want. Can I just say one thing about Minso Intel quick, Justin? How things work on the show is we vote on shit, and it's normally 3-1 where I vote no and they vote yes. So I just do what I'm told. So Carano basically blocks me for doing what I'm told, and I don't really care. I blocked him back. I'm taking the VD page, taking a page out of the book of VD because he's doing well for himself right now. Can we talk about that guy for a second? Nope. Jesus Christ! Did you listen to the rundown this morning? Any of you guys with Manners?
But we're not going to talk about VD. What we are going to talk about is what's up with David Portnoy straight up saying he doesn't want to cause controversy, and Kirk saying that that doesn't bode well for the future. This is the final point I want to hit on before we wrap things up.
Suits. So I'm putting his fucking suit on.
Oh my god.
I think it's interesting. The same week, like on that podcast where he's calling out Barstool people, he's saying he doesn't want to cause controversy.
Rachel, you should come take a look at this.
What'd you say?
Talking to his wife.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Rachel, take your shirt off and come see this.
At the same time,
he's full Joker regalia right now.
He is calling. He's calling people out on this Barstool podcast. He is also saying how he doesn't want to cause controversy, and the thing that Trista Crick wrote in this world is like the least controversial take you can possibly have. So I think Kirk sees that and goes, well, like, what does that mean for the show? What does that mean when your show causes controversy in a good way? I mean, Kirk never calls out people for smart shit. He always calls people out for dumb shit. But if you can't call people out for dumb shit anymore, I mean, how do you
listen, Justin? What I think, and I'm probably 1,000% wrong. I think that Kirk knows Barstool going with sports and going with gambling. At some point, Kirk and Barstool and Nardini and David Portnoy and Kirk have a great relationship. They're going to shake hands. They're going to hug, and they're going to go their separate ways. Because I think Kirk sees he's about to build an empire. So I think he's not going to put too many fucking explosives under the bridge of the Barstool Sports empire right now and take people out because I I think he's having a good time, and he's not. He says, I'm having a great time on this show. This is the best show I've ever done. I don't think he wants that kind of fire right now. I just don't. I think he will say his piece and keep skating.
So you think the reason why he didn't go so hard on Trista Crick was because she works for Barstool and he didn't want to cause Barstool controversy? I just don't think the Trista Crick controversy is on the same level as Shirley or as...
It's not. You're right. But it's also the point where if he starts doing that, then it's the whole thing with those people saying, you went after my friend, again. And Kirk doesn't need to go down that road again. Everyone loves Trista Crick or whatever. I think Kirk knows, trust me, when I get out of here and I have my subscription service, I can take these people down with fucking molten lava.
Yeah, see, I don't think Kirk's. I think it's a bad take to think that Kirk's holding back right now because he's still under the Barstool umbrella. I think what's.
I didn't say holding back. Not holding back. I just don't think it's not igniting his fuse like other things would. I don't think
he called her take stupid to her face. I mean, he brought her on the podcast and he said that was a stupid take, right? And she said,
be lit. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a caller he freaked out on this week. He called in, he was talking about how his heart's open, and he came in the next day, and boy, was his fuse lit.
Yeah, well, that is a bigger deal. That's more of somebody, fucking up than Trista Crick, writing a stupid column or making people go through the trash or whatever. What that caller did was, I don't know, Kelleher-like.
Oof, we don't say that word on this show. We don't say like. We don't say like. We say love. We're big love people.
All love.
Anything else you guys want to say or touch on? Any other topics before we get going?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, Justin.
Yeah, just thanks for throwing all this shit around for a while. It's when I call the show, sometimes I want to get a point across, and of course I can't do it. I'm in a rush. I want to get my words in. I try to rush it, and it was nice to just say, listen, I had a fucking diarrhea, bukkake, bloody fucking abortion phone call, and I ate shit for it. And you know what? It's fine. To me, it's water under the bridge. But now I got the chance to fucking come on the show and explain to everyone, it is what it is. And I might fuck up again. I might call in and be terrible again, and you could shit on me again. And you know what? Like I told Kirk, I'll still be there. I'll still support him. I'll still listen to the show. That's what I won't say friends. That's what fans do. They support.
Okay,
Justin, I just want to say thank you for having me on with the Joker, Fat Jonah Hill, and you yourself, the greatest Best Buy bodying people.
That was a great video.
Play video. Cut the video.
Cut the video.
Bye, guys. I love you.